All right, we're going to get started. My name is Jeff. I live in Reddington Beach. I live on Boca Ciega Bay. I moved here about 6 years ago, and we were here about a year and a half, and Ada decided to put 15 inches of water in my garage. And I just figured this place flooded all the time, so I built my own barrier, and people were laughing at me because we haven't flooded in 20, 25 years. Well, I built my own barrier, and we all know what happened last year. Ada was November of 2020. Then last year in September, we got hit with Adelia. And then in December, we had the no-name storm. I got no water in my garage or in my house. And so what happened was a bunch of my friends cornered me and said, you need to put on a seminar because people need to do what you did. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it. And then I ran into this guy in the middle of last year, and we started talking about what we were going to do. And then when we got flooded, the towns got flooded last fall and winter, we said, all right, we're going to work on this. And we decided to go full on in. We have a lot of very good ideas for you. We have stuff that has worked. This stuff has worked, flat out worked. 15 inches of water on the outside, no water on the inside. Bob and I have I have a different theory than Bob. My theory is I don't want one drop of water in my house. I don't want one drop of water in my garage. Bob says he'll manage the water, whatever that means. I don't know. So there's not, the ideas that we're going to give you and the products that we're going to show you are stuff that we've used, our friends have used, our colleagues have used. We are not saying here, use this product and this is the only product. We have no financial incentive in any of this, zero. Although he keeps telling me to buy DAP stock. I don't know why. But this stuff works if you apply it correctly and you take your time. The one thing I will tell you is once you get ready, the stress goes away. You won't be sitting there 5 minutes before Category 2 is 100 miles offshore going, I'm going to flood, my furniture is going to be ruined, and I'm going to have to do all this stuff. And your stress will go away. It really does. It's gone away for me. I don't worry about it anymore. My house is protected up to 4.5 feet right now, all the way around. I am not worried about a drop of water up to 4.5 feet, and I'm daring to go to 9 feet. I think the walls will cave in, but you know. So anyway, I'm doing stuff to go up even higher, but we're going to show you a lot of good products, a lot of good ideas. We're going to go through each section. If you have questions, ask the questions afterwards. We'll hand you a mic so everybody can hear your question. We have people here from some of the companies. We're going to show you their products. We have talked to a lot of neighbors. We've talked to a lot of reps. We've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to managers at Home Depot. I've talked to DAP reps, people in their corporate office. I've talked to everybody everywhere. Bob and I have taken it upon us to become experts in this. I'm not quite sure why, but our houses are waterproof. We have different ways of doing it. His will look totally different than what I did, but they both work. So, by the way, I got to thank a few people first. I want to thank Adriana from Reddington Beach and Dee. They helped with all the brochures and everything that you have. I want to thank Robin, who is the city administrator for Madeira Beach, for allowing us to come in and do this. The last time we did it at Reddington Beach, we had a very small room. We had 110 people in it and no AC. It was great. Everyone who has helped us along the way to come up with these things, a big help. CJ, thanks for your help up in Reddington Shores. If you have questions, just wait till we get to the end. Afterwards, if you want to come up, touch, feel, take pictures, ask us specific questions, in the brochure in the pamphlet that you have, we have in there where these products are in Home Depot or Ace, where you can find them, where they are on Amazon. Who was it that put the bay in the...
I started putting the bay and aisle in, so if you look for a product, you don't have to look around the store. You go right to the item itself.
Just go through Home Depot with your cart and go to the bay and the aisle number, and you'll find everything.
But you have to do it in 2 minutes.
So I'll let Bob go.
Okay, we want to start first again to reinforce what Jeff said. These are ideas and suggestions. The need to, we want you to just try to listen and understand what we're saying. You really don't have to take a tremendous amount of notes because everything we talk about and more is in the website. And you will see on the handout you have 3 areas of communication. We have an email address that Jeff and I monitor, so if someone has a question, you could send it directly to that email address. We attempted to start a Facebook group to see if people would use that, and we had very few so far join the group. I think people are uncomfortable at times just using Facebook. And also we have the website, and the website is broken down pretty much the way this conversation tonight is going to go on. We got to get Tom with we're not getting the video.
We're not getting the pictures up.
Yeah.
Where is Tom? And we'll get him up here in a second. You were going to go into the...
Well, I wanted them to share, you to share the Cat 2 map.
Oh. So
in your handout.
One of the things that's interesting is if you look at Ada, it was a tropical storm. If you look at Idalia, it was a Cat 3 hurricane when it went by us, but it was 130 miles offshore. And then in December, a lot of us flooded because it was a no-name storm. It wasn't even tropical storm, and we flooded on that. So just think for a moment, instead of 4 or 5 inches of water, it's another 8 inches or a foot. So just think about what you have to do to prevent that kind of flood water as opposed to what's happened. A lot of people have come up to me and said, oh, the water only comes this high. Oh, really? I don't think that's correct. What if it's this high? It changes the dynamics. So make sure that you're thinking not what's happened, but what could happen. And if you look at this picture, this is from the floodplain administrator for Pinellas County, Lisa Foster. This is a Cat 2 with us on the wrong side of the storm. We're in the northeast quadrant, according to this, and it's 6 to 12 feet. That's a Cat 2. So I don't know what we can do. You know, like I said, I'm going to 9. If it's 12, I have an indoor pool. But just be prepared. Instead of it being this high, it's this high. That's our, one of the things that we want to get through to everybody is make sure you prepare for a little bit higher. And a lot of this stuff will help you do that. And actually, once you do this stuff, a lot of this stuff, like using stuff like this, you do it once. Using stuff like this, you do it once. This is not something you have to do day in and day out. You do it once, and you never, most of our lifetimes, you'll never have to duplicate it. So
what we are doing is we're breaking it down by key sections to talk about. We're going to talk about penetrations, and Jeff will take you through a travel around your house and look at where water entry places can be. I'll touch on a number of the electrical risks you have and what you can do about them. We also talk about the doorways, whether French doors, sliders, whatever. And obviously, the critical one we're going to address is the garage door and what you can do both as a do-it-yourselfer and as using commercial barriers to minimize and stop water from entering your home. We have a wide variety, which you'll see up here, of multiple caulking materials. Some is just good indoor-outdoor caulk material. We have a caulking clay. I'll call it a clay that's very easy to apply with your hands. But every one of them has a different application, and it's important that you read the back of the product to be sure you're using it in the right way. We have silicone, which is typically used inside of receptacles, and it's a permanent waterproof product that is very effective and lasts forever. And we have something, I think it's called seal and, what's it called, John? I keep forget, what's,
If you do not, yeah, exactly. If you do nothing else, buy this, buy at least a case, have it in your house, have it with this. I didn't even know they made these things up until a year ago. What this is, it's a battery-operated caulk gun. So you pull the button, and it puts the caulk on. So when there's a storm coming, and you have to put 12 tubes of caulk on your house, you're not going to do it. And plus, this caulk is a lot thicker than a standard caulk. And the other thing I'm going to say about this stuff is when you put this on, it's not a beauty pageant. Nobody cares what it looks like. Because when it comes off in a big strand. It just peels off. You got to leave it on. Testing, you got to leave it on for at least 22 to 24 hours to get it to come off like this. If it's less than that, it just doesn't. Nah. By the way, this is a piece I put on September 1st on one of my back doors. I only took a little bit off today because every month I take off more. I want to see how long before it won't come off right. This is 8 months. So
and
this stuff,
and it takes no paint, doesn't leave any debris on the product?
it is, do you have a picture of my door? That first one. So that's what I used to do. That was my side door. Can you guess what happened to all the paint? I was using Gorilla Tape. Yeah, that stuff, I was repainting. The damage was worse. I still have residue on there from this tape, okay? There's very little reason, in our opinion, my opinion, to use duct tape. There's certain things you can use it on, but very few. I have a neighbor, and our goal is to use as little duct tape as possible, whereas prior to Adalia, we were using rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls of this stuff, and we were doing, I have 3 big, gigantic sliders. I have 10, 20, 32 feet of sliders on the back of my house. We were going through rolls of this stuff. And it never really got tested, but now we'll show you something interesting later if you have sliding doors where you'll never use duct tape again. You'll use something else and this stuff. Liquid gold. Right now, the only place you can buy this, you can buy it online. The price goes way up once we get into hurricane season. Right now, Amazon will have it, Ace Hardware locally, and they're all different prices. The cheapest guy is up on Seminole Boulevard in Largo.
And Home Depot just placed a large order.
Home Depot is going to carry it. I talked the manager into carrying this stuff at Seminole. They do not have it as of yet.
Clear as opposed to white, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
do not buy white. Crystal clear. Crystal clear. The white doesn't cure and it doesn't come off. I still have some on another door of white, and I'm still waiting for it to cure, and I put it on 8 months ago. Clear. This stuff will cure in a day. Actually, and it'll form a skin within an hour, hour and a half, so I think it's pretty good waterproof. You have to put it on when it's dry, but for openings around your house, go around your house and look at all the openings where the water's going to come in, whether it be around your dryer vent, a dog door. If you look at this dryer vent right here, this is the dryer vent that I've put on a lot of homes. It's got 2 doors, okay? 2 doors. It works. This one, if you go back one or forward one, that is the one on my house. It's painted. It works with paint on it. These are cheap. They're on Amazon. I think they're $16. What you do is you put it on, you caulk around the outside, leave the bottom open. When a storm comes, seal and peel around this. And by the way, you should have a 4-inch pipe coming through your wall. And if you have the pipe, it fits right on the back. Okay, and it sits right on the outside of your house. This won't rust. I can tell you, I've walked around about 70 or 80 homes, maybe more. I've kind of lost track of how many homes I've gone around to try.
Usually at night.
Yeah, that was good. I like that. If you look at this dryer vent, though, it's not going to rust. There are a lot of dryer vents in these towns where they're the metal hoods. They're about this high above the ground, and the flap, the metal flap, is rusted open. So I had a guy, he bought a lot of these barriers up here, and he put them all up, and he had a 4-inch hole on the side of his house that was about that high off the ground. I'm like, you've got a fire hose on the side of your house. It's just going to flood in. You cannot just expect to come and buy one of these barriers and think your problems are solved. You have to go through each and every orifice around each and every water pipe, around each and every cable line and phone line and anything that's going through the wall of your house, caulk it. Just do it with an all-purpose caulk. If you want to paint it, make sure you use latex, because you can paint latex caulk. So just caulk everything.
One of the tips that Jeff helped us out on was the fact that you are not caulking for decorative purposes. When you use the seal and peel, you want to put, and you saw the product he had, you want to put a thumb's thickness around every place you apply it.
It's like rubber.
And if you do that, then it's an easy peel off when it's done. And that's another reason why the electric gun is the best way to go. Now, some of us don't have vents.
No, you can. If you have a door or you have something that you never use, you can put this on. The problem I've found is after time, it shrinks. So after 8 months, I'm seeing some areas where it's shrinking. So this was only left on 22 hours. This piece has been on eight months, and you can see the difference. They were both about the same. The one thing I will tell you about this caulk, buy way more than you think you're going to need, and there's 2 reasons for that. Number one, you want to put a bead of caulk on that's the size of like your finger. You want it on heavy, because the heavier you put it on, the easier it is to peel off. It just comes right off. And if it leaves a little bit of residue, you take your hand, you rub it, comes right off. It's not like typical caulk. The other thing is, when you're looking at, if you put it on for an extended period of time and it shrinks a little bit, you want it enough on there so when it's shrinking, you're okay. Okay?
Now, some of us don't have a nice wall to install the vent that Jeff showed you. Yeah. Some of us have their vent in a 10-inch corridor between a fence and a shed. And so that's where we pass ideas back and forth, and we come up with a way to use a 4-inch sewer pipe and extend the vent 2 feet out to the walk area. Now I didn't add any 90-degree bends, so the efficiency of the dryer stays the same. And also, it provides an easy access to that vent. Jeff mentioned also the seal and peel. Some of our friends have actually used a 4-inch test plug. So in that opening, this is a 3-inch, this is for a toilet. But on the 4-inch, you stick it right in there, do a pump up, and that'll seal it, and you seal completely for the floodwater.
It's called a test plug or a plumber's ball, whatever you want to call it. It's basically got a car tire, when you hook up to inflate a car tire, it's got one of those on the end. You can open this flap up, stick it in the tube, blow it up, and it seals the pipe. Okay? There's multiple uses. We'll show you some other uses for these test plugs, but you just put it in and you blow it up and it seals this pipe. No, you can buy them all. We got different size. We got 2-inch, 3-inch. You can buy 6-inch. You can buy.
The most common for the dryer is 4 inches.
Most dryer vents are 4 inches. Most sewer lines are 4 inches. So you use this in a sewer line, a toilet, or do you use 4-inch or 3-inch in your toilets?
3.
3?
That's a little personal.
He's on a roll today.
What?
So where are we going?
What we're going to talk about is let's take a ride on the electrical train. Jeff showed me this of a house that he visited, and tell him what happened. This is the one that he had some floodwater.
I'll share with you 3 things that happened to myself and people that I know. This particular picture is from a house on Reddington Drive near 161st. The home flooded and the water came in and the outlet caught on fire. Thank God the water came up fast enough to put the fire out. My dock, I had a GFI. You can see how if you see that, take it off, turn the power off, and you're replacing the whole thing. And be thankful your house didn't burn to the ground. My dock, I had a GFI. The GFI didn't trip. The GFI totally melted inside the box, caught on fire, fried one of my boat lift motors, and I had to replace all of this stuff. We had another friend who had a GFI, or I think it was just an outlet on the outside of his house, a cement-walled house. He had an outlet on the outside where they had drilled through the wall to, we're going to show you a video of this in a minute, but they drilled through the wall to get the electric. He is very lucky the fire didn't go back down through the hole and start the house on fire. So it is very important what Bob's talking about with the electrical.
Here's an example.
So
Just to give an example of how that corridor is placed in your home.
Disconnect all the wires.
Now he's removing it in order to put an outside receptacle.
Use a hammer and a flathead.
pop out the tab,
Out one of the holes in the back of the box
and then
with a long
you just bore a hole right through the wall.
until you reach through to the outside.
And by the way, there's no sealer in any of that. They don't seal them. There's a big hole. So when you're waterproofing your home, if you have an outdoor outlet and on the exact other side of the wall there's an indoor outlet, there's a hole right through the wall. And if you have an outdoor outlet where the pipe's not coming up, they went into the wall, whether they went into the center of a cinder block or if they actually went through the wall and ran it up behind the drywall. You got to check all of these outlets. That one is on the outside of the house. Okay.
So that was
there-
coming directly from our kitchen through the cabinet to the outdoor receptacle. So all we did was we went in, put silicone inside the drilled hole,
Use this.
extended the receptacle 3.5 feet up, and put a GFI.
going to do this.
Yep.
So one of the things, if you have outside receptacles or outlets or anything like that, this is called dielectric grease. It is a waterproof grease. So if you have a wire nut, turn the power off, take the nut off, squirt this in, a couple squirts, put it back on a wire, tighten it, and then put this all the way around. It'll waterproof that connection. And this is cheap, it's easy, it's in the electrical aisle at Home Depot. Very easy to use, and it's not expensive, and it'll keep your house from catching on fire, hopefully.
Now, something like that, a homeowner has to be relatively skilled to open up the receptacle and do any work. Secondly, for ourselves, if I'm putting in a new receptacle outside, I will definitely use that or another product to allow us to actually tighten. It comes with its the conductor already comes with a sealant inside it, and we have a sample of it.
You can buy wire nuts with dielectric grease already in them. So instead of using that canister, you can just take these if you don't have a lot and just twist them on. If you have outdoor lighting or speakers or anything like that, use stuff like this to keep waterproofing all of your outside connections.
I think you had said you had like 20 connections outside and you flooded and you didn't have one failure.
My backyard has been underwater 3 times totally. I mean, feet of water. I have 20 speakers. I have, God knows how many lights. I have not lost the light and I have not lost the speaker. They all still work and they've been underwater completely.
One of the other things is if you cannot do the sealant or you're uncomfortable to use it, one of the things we've used is what we call them plumber's caulk.
Yep. This.
So it's a clay-like product that you put on by hand, and found this was an effective way to close and seal an outdoor receptacle. And all you do is you press it in with your fingers and it seals against it, and then you close the cover on that receptacle.
Notice how it's got it around the edge too, so it can't seep in through the edges and get behind.
It becomes almost like a passion where you start looking at your house and you say, gee, I wonder if I've looked behind there. The picture we showed of of the vent where I have it down a small corridor, I couldn't get at it. What did I do? I emptied everything out of the shed, pulled it away, and there were 2 gaping holes behind the shed for my gas line going into my water heater and our stove that I never realized was there. So it's very important that you get passionate about asking yourself, if I was floodwater, how could I enter any part of that house? And you'll be surprised in what you can find. This is an example when Jeff and I started talking and challenging each other. I went to him and said, I have no issues worry about water outside. And then I went home and took a look, and there's my receptacle that powers my dock and my outdoor lights 6 inches off the ground. That wasn't so simple. Took it apart, rewired it, raised it 3.5 feet above the grade.
I'll just say he's an electrical engineer, so if you're not comfortable at doing any type of electrical work, find someone who is, or hire an electrician. But this is not hard work to do.
Now, we talked about the risk of outdoor receptacles. And so the question is, do you know at your breaker panel which breakers shut off outdoor receptacles? Because one of the things that you see in your checklist, and it's included in the website, one of the things you do when a flood is coming is you turn off the outdoor receptacles. What if you're not there? What if you have to call your neighbor and say, hey, I'm not going to be there. Could you turn off the receptacles to my outdoor lighting? Where do they go? So what we've done is you could use a hair dryer and wait to hear the noise go off. You can grab a lamp and use it. And we found that a simple device like this on Amazon for like $8, you put that in a bulb in and you can test it and find which one of the receptacles. But also, even more important, Once you find them, it's important to mark them with a dot, with white out, something that is very clear, and number it on your panel door so people know and your family knows which receptacles support the outdoor, which breakers support the outdoor receptacles.
So this house in particular, we identified the outdoor receptacles. There's three of them. There's four. So what we did is we figured out each outdoor outlet, and there's three dots, black dots. So I could call you, and I could say, go over to this person's house and flip the black dots. I can call anybody in this room and say, go flip the black dots. And you can turn off anybody's house if you have a marking system. Make it easy. Make it so if you're not here, we've heard horror stories where my flood barriers, I wasn't here, so I asked somebody to do it, and they put it up wrong. I won't tell you what happened to them. Turning off the power to your outdoor outlets or your dock or any of those things, just go find them, mark them, and make it easy so anybody can do it.
There's a small aside to that because I guess a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, we had that heavy rain and scare of flood. So I went around and went for my wonderful dotted breakers and turned them all off, went back into the house and entered a dark house. The house was built in '59. The light in the bathroom is fed by the one on the dock, which is fed over by the one over here. Whoever wired this house? So what we have done in our house is we have what I call an extension emergency plan. Bought 3 heavy-duty extensions. We've marked not only which breakers are outdoor breakers, but which ones are affected when I turn off that outdoor breaker, and then recognize that I have other receptacles inside that I can use an extension to make sure my fans are on, make sure that the refrigerator is on, and any critical appliances. So just something to keep in mind, but just turning off outdoor breakers does turn off receptacles in the house.
Can you go to the picture of my dock? So if you look at this, on the bottom, the white box, that's a junction box. It's filled with wire nuts. It's got dielectric grease in all of them. Just above it was my GFI that caught on fire. So what I did is I moved the GFI all the way to the top. All right, so just move if you can, or hire an electrician and move stuff up. And like I said, I only have to do this once. The other thing I did is every joint has silicone on it. So I highly doubt there will ever be any water in this unless the water is over my pilings, which we'll be talking about other stuff. But so on a dock, you can do stuff like this. Do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, and one of the things I didn't realize is there's things called pools in Florida. And pools, I didn't realize. And in pools, there's pool pumps. And typically they're mounted at what? About 1 inch off the ground. And I think Jeff came up with a clever way to handle this.
This is a picture of 3 of my pool pumps. And you can see how they were, if you have a pool, they were hardwired. One of the covers is off. But they were hardwired to these lower boxes. So every time there was a storm coming, because they're sitting on ground, I would go out, I'd disconnect them, I'd pull out, you turn the power off, I'd pull all the wires out of the conduit, and then when I'd come back, I have 4 pumps, I'd have put them all back together before I could turn on one. So I'm out there for 3.5, 4 hours putting together pool pumps. So I decided to change this, and this is what I did. You want to go to the next one? So this is a picture where I ran the hardwire up to a receptacle, and I put the pump on a plug. So now when there's a storm coming, I have 2 quick connects. If you go to the next one, Bob, you can see the quick connects on the white pipe. I disconnect it, I unplug it, and I carry it into the garage. And it's done like that. And then when I come back, I quick connect them, I plug it in, They're all still on mine are all still on a GFI breaker. And so this way works for me. It's easy. And it's, instead of it taking 3.5, 4 hours to connect and run it through the conduit and all that stuff, it's 10 minutes.
How much is each pump, Jeff?
What's that?
Each pump costs.
Our pumps are, you know, I'm like $5,000 to $6,000 worth of pumps. So they have to come up and go out. I'm sure a lot of you in the room have lost a pool pump. It's not a fun experience. You have to wait for somebody to come back and replace it and connect it, and you know your pool's turning greener and greener. This is a very quick option. Once it's done, unplug it and carry it in the garage. I put mine up on boards about 6 feet in the air on ladders so they can't get wet.
One of the things that Jeff jokingly said is I'm an engineering background, and it is electrical. And I went to Jeff for advice on how to rewire certain receptacles, and this is the way he left me. So I'm not sure if I'd get advice when you come up here. Really don't ask him about that.
That is my dock going to one of my motors.
Oh, is it?
By the way, there's dielectric grease in every one of those.
All right.
Now we're going to go to the fun stuff now, which affects everybody in this room. The pool is some people, not everybody, but doors. Doors, that, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that anymore. This stuff
Wait, let me get it.
replaces everything. You can put a big enough bead of caulk on that door. It doesn't matter how wide the gap. You can build this out. You can put that on there, and this stuff will seal it. If it leaves a little residue, you can just take your hand and rub it, and it comes right off. It doesn't take the paint. It's wonderful stuff that's my side door. Here you go. This stuff. I'm going to walk all the way over here. This is 1/2-inch vinyl board. They sell it in a 4x8 foot sheet at Home Depot. This is 4 feet high and a couple feet wide. This is my top. It's the outside, the big slider, the left door on the right side. So when I'm getting ready for a storm and I say take the stress out, write a book here. Okay? Not War and Peace because you got to read it quick. But write a book so you can read it, go put it up, and it takes you 0 time. This stuff, what you can't see here is this stuff locks into, if you have tracks on your sliders for screens, it locks into the screen tracks. So if you look at this 2x4, and it may be hard in the back to see, but you can see a notch in the top, and you can see a notch in the bottom. I put this in. I put it in, lock it into the track. The board on the wide part of your slider goes up against here. I actually will put a couple screws in this to hold it in place. And there you can see, Eliza said to me, she goes, it looks like you're framing a wall. I kind of was. But now the pressure, if I get water pressure coming on my slider, I've got this behind it, and it's locked in on the tracks. If you don't have tracks, there's other things you can do. If you don't have a track on the top, this one, I have a track on the top, a track on the side where I can lock it in. It just slides right in. And it works great. And most houses have screen door tracks on their sliders. I've seen probably 3 that don't. So if you have sliders,
How much is each panel?
these panels, they're at Home Depot. They're right next to the big saw they won't hire me. I don't know what aisle it is. Yeah, the pro entrance. But they're $100 a sheet. you cut them once, you never have to do it again. And the interesting thing is when you go to lock them in, you can bend them. So you just snap in. You cut them tight. They're real easy to cut, and you just bend them, and you snap them in, and to pull them out, you just pull on the center, and they pop right out. And this is waterproof. Around the edges, liquid gold. Go down the sides. There's a picture of my neighbor's house. He's here somewhere. Hi, Richard. This is my neighbor's house. We originally, the back of my house, I have roll down shutters, and I put these things sideways. And we were doing his house, and we were putting it up sideways, and we're like, the rain's going to get behind it. So I looked at him, and we both at the same time, what if we turn them vertically? So we turn them vertically, and what he does to add stability, he's got 2x4s behind one of the sides. He puts Gorilla Tape. Use Gorilla Tape on this application because it's stronger and it provides more rigidity to these boards. So you can see the Gorilla Tape coming down the seams. And then on the bottom and the sides, and he's got seal and peel caulk. And how many inches of water did you have up the last storm? He got no water in his house from these things. So, but the water was pretty high on the outside. So this is the other thing, and I came up with this idea on this stuff after Adalia because Richard and I were both out there taping away on sliding doors for, I don't know, 6-7 hours. And I was like, this is nuts. And what I had done after Ada in my garage, I had taken out the bottom 4 feet of drywall, and I'd put these 4x8 foot sheets up on the wall, and I put plastic trim on the bottom. I painted them. You can't tell it's not drywall, but now in my garage, I have 4 feet of vinyl in the garage with vinyl trim. I don't care if I get water in it. I won't, but I don't care anymore. This stuff is very versatile. It's at Home Depot. I've asked the manager there. She triple ordered it this last go around. So they have plenty of it right now, and she knows to keep it in stock. So this stuff really, 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 really works. It'll keep the water out of your sliders. And you know what? Even if you wanted to on a side door, you could build it out. You could put neoprene down each side and on the bottom, Tapcon it to the wall, and you have a watertight barrier. There's a lot of stuff you can use this with because it doesn't absorb water. So, and once you cut it once for your slider, you just bring it out, you put it in place, and you're done. My sliders, it used to take us forever to do those sliders. We were out there taping forever. Now I can do a slider in about 5 minutes. Just snap this in, and with the power caulk, and you're done. So ease, no stress, make it easy. So good stuff.
All of his sliders, however, were moving sliders.
Yep.
I have a fixed pane and a moving pane. And so I've decided that I'm going to make the fixed pane a barrier. And so I sealed it completely in place. They're hurricane sliders. And I'm just going to seal them and keep them sealed. It's white caulk, and you don't even know it's there. Now, I did approach the moving slider a little differently. Happened to be in Jeff's garage, and I see this circular pile of this gray material. I said, what is that? Oh, that's polybicarbonate. I said, that's hurricane shutter material. What are you doing with it? Well, I was going to use it, and I said, well, what did it cost you? He says, it was less than $100. I said, oh, well, I'll buy it. He said, sure, it's $2,000. So I bought it at his cost, and what I did was I made my own half slider. So I have polycarbonate that fits right in the track of the moving slider where the screen goes. I have it sealed so that no water goes behind it, and it takes me about 10 minutes to put that on. So the fixed slider is always fixed. The other one comes on very easily and quickly, and I'll either use seal and peel or the rope caulk to seal the exposed edges, and I'm good to go. So the opportunity I see for some people, and when we visited some of the homes, the homeowner said, well, I never use that door. Yes, it moves, but I never use it. Well, then caulk it. If you never use it, make it permanent. And so that's just a simple way to cut in half the possibility of water in the home. On our front door is probably 4 to 5 feet above street level. But I do want to, one, I want to still protect it. And secondly, what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to leave the house if I decide to leave and all my barriers are up. So by putting an 18-inch, 3/4-inch plywood secured against the front door, and I just made my own rails and screwed those in, and then I would seal it with seal and peel or caulk, and I would have now an additional 18 inches of flood protection in the front door. And
That's a picture of seal and peel. I don't think is Trish here? A woman on 4th Street in Reddington Beach called me up, and actually I found her on Nextdoor, and she called me up and she goes, I don't know how to use my caulk gun, because she bought one of these caulk guns, okay? She goes, I've never caulked anything in my entire life. And would you come over and show me how to do it? And I said, all right. So I brought a tube of this caulk over, seal and peel, and how to cut the tip off. Make sure you... Every time I think about this, I start laughing. Cut the tip off, make it thick. Don't cut it down here. Remember, it's not a beauty pageant. Cut it back here, okay? And when you do, stick something down inside this nipple to break the seal. We had a friend that stuck a nail in the side because it wasn't coming out. Okay.
But he did get the caulk out.
But anyway, she put it in the caulk gun. She caulked her door, and she was going. I said, put it on heavier. So she put it on heavier. She left it on, and then she peeled it off, a week or two later, and she goes, well, before that, she put it on. She goes, I can do this. You know what? Anybody in this room can do this. You can do this. It's not hard, okay? Buy one of these caulk guns. You catch them on sale for $52, $59 on Amazon. You can caulk your house shut. It's not hard. So, but that's her caulk on her house, and she peeled it off without a problem. What? It's over there. So, I'll let you go to the next one, Bob.
Okay.
All right, here, the next one, which is that door brace.
Oh, yeah.
If your door opens in, think about it for a minute. The water pressure is pushing on that door. So if you don't have one of these barriers or your own homemade barrier, that water is really going to crank on that door. So this is a barrier you can buy to put on. There's a lot of them. I don't have this because all of mine open out. But if your door opens in, consider a barrier to hold your door shut if the water pressure is that big on the outside. And seal and peel the outside of it. 2x4. That is, hold on, go back to that one for a second. That's my new slider. I had them going horizontal. Now I've gone the full, all the way up. It really isn't that hard to do. Once I make these and they're all labeled, you just snap them into place and they sit back. So if you have sliders, use this stuff. This stuff works great.
Jeff mentioned it before, and I think it's a great idea. He was referencing the PVC and marking where that one goes. I would like to go another step, which he introduced me to, is tomorrow, start putting together your flood and storm products in a tub. Put them all in one place, because when you do that 2 days before the storm, where is everything? You can't buy gas anywhere. You can't get tape. It's all out. And so what we've done is we've constantly are replenishing our storm box. It doesn't take, it's only about 2 by 3 foot by 18 inches. But all the items, any bolts or screws we need to put up our barriers is there. An extra ratchet wrench that I use is there. The sockets for that ratchet wrench are there. So even if it's a duplicate, put it all in one place, and then you're not running around in that last week trying to figure out what to do. The other thing that we we failed to mention is we get questions as to when should I start preparing for a flood? And I guess it's now.
Today.
Start today.
The one thing I will tell you, keep this in your house, in a closet where it's cool. Do not leave it in your garage. It'll go bad. And it does have an expiration date. They won't tell you when that is, okay? But my guess is it'll last at least 3-4 years. And if you have a case or two, or in my case, 4 cases in your house, I can't run out. That would be not good. But if you have 4 cases or 2 cases, and Ken had a great idea. I said, here's a case, and well, I want 2. And I go, well, you don't need that much. He goes, what if we storms? I didn't think of that. So that was a good idea, Ken. Put it in your house in a closet. Keep all this stuff together. One thing I'll mention before Bob's talking about a kit, just simple stuff. You can go to the dollar store. These are $1.25. I don't know, 10. I tell Liza she's going to open the microwave and there'll be one in there. You can buy lighters for $1.25. You can buy this tape. And by the way, when there's a storm coming, you're not buying it. You're not buying this. You're not buying this. You're not buying this. It's all going to be gone. Because that's what happened last year. It was empty, the store shelves. Keep this stuff in a closet out of the heat, and it'll last a lot longer. Yeah. Just two other things I want to mention about. This is neoprene. Okay, this piece is cut. You can buy neoprene Goodyear rubber products. It's over off of Bryan Dairy.
And it's in the site, it's in the website.
Yeah, it's in the website. If you want to do a do-it-yourself project, this is 3/8 inch neoprene, and it'll work when you put it on. If you want to put it on the back of here, or on the back of a board, or on, in my case, on my garage door. We'll get to it in a minute, but it's in between my boards, my homemade barrier. And actually, if you look at some of these products, they have neoprene that they're using to seal out the water. There was one, forgot what all-row steel, all-row metal on 49th Street. If you want to make your own thing, go into all-row metal on 49th Street. They have all kinds of scraps. They have all kinds of stock. And you can come up with all kinds of ideas to make channels, to do whatever you want to do. So just keep in mind, these stores and these buildings are here, and they will allow you to find products that you can do. And where's the gentleman? I lost him now. Oh, back there. He was coming up showing us what he's doing with his, and you know what? I'm sure it's going to work. It's a great idea, right? It's a great idea. So these things aren't the only way to do it. There's 100 different ways. Just keep the water out. And by the way, if you keep the water out, you're not going to want to sell your home. Your neighbors, if they do it, are not going to want to sell their home. Everybody should stay here. That's why we're doing it. We want everybody to stay here.
Well, Jeff teed up the big area, the garage door. Biggest risk area we have. And there are people that everybody approaches it the same, but we kind of pulled some information just to make sure we dispel any rumors about how great sandbags are. Sandbags have a purpose. They're great on the beach. Water goes right through it, and it goes back into the Gulf. But here are the options you have to protect yourselves. You can do nothing, which we know some have done. You can just use the taping, which we now know doesn't provide any value at all. Or some people just put sandbags across the gap and the seal on the garage door. And they try to stack it in some kind of manner so that it doesn't provide any real pain. But there is a method and there is a way to install sandbags if that's the method you chose. The sandbag materials are available in town, right?
Here we go. We get the Public Works Director for Madeira Beach,
Yay!
Megan. Here. Oh, of course we were.
Turn green. There you go. Hello, everybody. So, as I said, sandbags, they're not going to stop the water. So here in Madeira Beach, in the event of a storm, we have a sandbag location at our public works yard. With that being said, we do limit the sandbags for our residents. So you're going to get 10 per household or 10 per person. That's not going to stop the water, but if you really want to try to stop the water, you need to do some type of tarp or visqueen or something and layer that above the door and then stack everything. Don't overfill your sandbags. Most people do. You have to lift them. 3 scoops is typically enough, and then you want to throw them and they lay flat. If they don't lay flat, it's not going to work. It's very ineffective. So doesn't matter how much sand is in there. It just matters, see up on the screen how they are laying flat. They are staggered with that tarp behind it, and then tape it or somehow secure it so that it's not going to fold down. If it does fold down and it's above that second layer, it will keep the water somewhat out. Anything else?
Where are you going to have sandbags?
For Madeira Beach residents over at our Public Works Yard, 503 150th Avenue. If we have a storm coming, we'll open it up. We'll have message boards out there. Are we taking questions now?
Thank you for saying you do use bags. There is an effective way to use them, because at Treasure Island, they said, the hell with them. They don't want to use the place. They don't give us an option whatsoever. And of course, if you don't live in one of these places that has sand, you're not getting it.
That is unfortunate. It is for our residents only. But Pinellas County does open up locations that do take Pinellas County residents. So Pinellas County is getting a lot more effective about sandbag locations and trying to streamline it. Sure.
Down on 13th Street will make you sandbags.
They will.
Charge you about, I think, $2 or $3 a bag.
They will.
They'll fill them, and we put them in your car for you.
Perfect. Did everybody hear that? That's Carol's building material. Yes. Anything else for me?
Yep, good, thanks.
thanks.
Thank you. Megan? Here. These are my sandbags. The only time these will get filled is if my roof is bothered and I have to hold a tarp down. I have buckets in my shed filled with sand. I will fill these, and then I will put them up to hold the tarp down. Otherwise, you don't use them. I don't use them. They're very ineffective in terms of keeping the water out.
I can't pass this up. Are you also suggesting they keep all the sand in their bedroom? Okay.
So this is a picture of what I did after Ada. These are 2 by 10 by 10s that I cut. You can see the black lines between them, which is this. Okay? I made this myself. I've got neoprene up in the corners on the L bracket. I have not had water in my house or in my garage since Ada. And there was water over the bottom board the last 2 storms. So it's not getting in. This I did, it's homemade. There are a lot of options that we're going to show you here in a minute, but the interesting thing is if you want to make your own barriers, it is possible to make your own barriers and keep the water out. I will just say this, I hammer drilled into the concrete. I put anchors in. And by the way, I was a stockbroker. I didn't know a dang thing about flooding, hurricanes, construction, nothing. And I built this myself, and it works. So if you decide to do it, you can do it. I'm sorry? This is wood. The reason is it's a big span. It's 9 feet across. And what I did is I made out of 2 by 10 by 10s. And if you stand on the back, the center aluminum thing is just a brace to hold them together. But if you push on this, it doesn't move. So we're going to go into some of the commercial products here in a second. This is, and by the way, these are in no specific order. This is Rapid, Aqua Shield Rapid. Raphael and Gabby over here are the reps for this area of Florida. This is a mock-up, by the way, so it's not the side. I'm going to give you a quick idea of how it works. But if you look at it, you pull back these 2 levers, go like that. So if this was your garage door, it'd come out in one piece if it was a single door. If it was a double door, they would put this post down in the concrete, and there would be a post that would sit down in here, and when you weren't using it, you would just put a cover over it. All right? There's a lot of installations of this in Reddington Beach that I'm aware of. Have you guys done Madeira Beach? Probably. Yeah. But so when you put it back in, like if it's your front door, you only have to hold it up over these 2 little buttons. So you hold it up over the 2 little buttons. You're done. You can, once this thing is installed, it's very easy.
Is there a sealant, like an epoxy that goes around the sides?
Yeah, so on the back side, there's neoprene.
I mean, between the door and the orange thing.
Oh, here?
On the outside. Well, that's supposed to represent the actual door.
Yeah, this is a door. Door frame. So they use neoprene as well. And there's another one that uses neoprene. But this, very, very effective. So, and it's easy to use. I'm sorry. Well, it depends on how wide, if you have a single car garage, we've seen them, we've lifted them.
We did one in town, and it's very easy with 2 people. But it's not a strain. You can lift it, one person's there, and you just have to align it to the pin.
They have handles on the top. So
They're here tonight, so after we're done, you can come up and talk to them. They're going to give you cards and information for anybody that's interested in these products.
that is Aqua Shield. Yeah, that's not the height this is just a mock-up. That's a mock-up. The mock-up from Garrison. The other ones are actual height. This is a picture of Garrison. Eric is right here with the glasses on. Be more than happy to answer your questions afterwards. Garrison is very similar to what I did. This is, picture your doorway is this wide, and each one of these things is on the side of your house. You can see it there. This is a garage door, so there's one channel on one side, there's one channel on the other. That has 5. This one has 4. They like to permanently mount these things. This is an outside mount. This is an inside mount. So this one is an inside mount on a garage door. That's an outside mount. But when you put this on, if this is installed permanently, you can put them on either way. They like to do it permanently. I don't, the way they're mounted, I wouldn't be opposed to, me personally, taking it on and off. But if you leave it on, all you do is drop these panels, these planks, down in, and it literally takes you minutes to waterproof your house. These are, you got a hold of that? Where's the other panel?
The other way. Over there.
Now. So if you look at these these planks, they're tongue and groove, and they have neoprene on either side. And you set them down in. You can see the tongue and groove on the top here, and they lock together. And then what you have is you tighten down on the top. Okay, so it compresses all the neoprene, including the bottom, which is bigger, and then you tighten these, and it presses everything back into the neoprene. Another very effective product that I should say should work. I don't know anybody who's had it installed during a flood, but my barriers work. And this is very similar to my barriers. This is better engineered and better built. Although I did tell a few people that you guys stole my idea. I want royalties. But that is Garrison Flood. Yep.
Sorry, I just had a question. So I have the floodgates also that I use on my exterior door.
Yeah.
The issue for me is rainwater behind.
Yep. We'll get to that. Yep. There's a couple things you can do. Which is the next one you got, Bob? All right. This is the heaviest one out of the bunch. Ugh. This is Floodgate. This company is internet-based. They're not going to come to your house. They're not going to install it. They're going to ship it to you in a box, and hopefully you measured correctly. This gate has been on 4th Street in Reddington Beach, and it worked. I know it held the water out on the last 2 floods. This worked. The way this works, on the back, it has a scissors jack, and they give you a wrench, and you just crank on the wrench to tighten it, and it expands it, and then this one has 4 bolts on the bottom, which compress down to give you the seal on the bottom. This has worked. I know it's worked. I know multiple people that have used this, and it works. It worked? Okay, there's an example of it worked. It weighs a lot. Feel free to come up and pick it up. No. They now make it, it comes in black, no orange. This is effective in a doorway. I don't believe it's going to work in a garage. I don't think you couldn't lift it for starters. I couldn't lift it. So this has worked in doorways. You got it? Then I'll lift the heavy one.
Now
No, this. Oh. All right. This is damn easy. All right. This, you can buy this. It'll do a garage. There's a garage door that it did. Is that Trevor's?
Yeah.
That is his neighbor's. We know this has worked.
He's gone through 4 storms on 2 homes and never got any water.
So no water, 4 storms. This has been tested extensively in Ireland and in Europe. We met the inventor and the CEO of the company. The way it works is you've got a pump, that pumps up an inner tube that runs around it to give you a seal. You got to make sure that in the corner you get some putty or something because it's rounded. If not, it'll leak in the corners. And then on top of that, what's that?
DAP works very well. Your DAP works very well for the corners.
Oh, yeah. So, and the other thing is this device right here will expand it. How many inches wide does it go, Leo?
From 28 inches to 43 inches
Okay.
per panel there, the smaller ones then.
Yeah, there's a smaller one up here you can look at as well. Like, this has worked. We know this has worked. So, when you're looking at products, we have a lot more on our website. We have a lot of different ones. Some are, the ones they use here at Madeira Beach, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Installation crews that have to look at.
Yeah, it's not these, but they have installation crews that put up the ones around this building. There are a lot of different products out there. We tried to identify products that we've seen installed, products that we believed worked or did work, and the reps are here. Leo is with Damn Easy over there. Like I said, Eric is here, right up here, and then Raphael and Gabby from Rapid Aqua Shield. So they'll be happy to answer your questions afterwards.
If you guys don't see us, our office is here in Largo on Overton Road. You can come to the showroom and get a demonstration right there. We're the local company here for everything.
Yep. What do you got next?
Let's see. Oh, there was a question about sealing between the barrier and between the barrier and the wall.
They make this in two different sizes.
There you are.
You can buy the bigger ones at Walmart, and if you can get them in between your door and a barrier, this is very effective at keeping the water, the rainwater, from going down behind. I have something different. I don't have a picture of it.
On those, sometimes the gap is wider, and my neighbor came up with a great idea. All he does is he takes a razor, and he cuts one of them, and then hot glues it together, and he makes it the size of the gap.
Yeah, the thing that I'm doing, because mine are wood, you could probably do it with aluminum as well. I've got 3 hinges and a piece of 8-inch wide vinyl that folds back with a noodle on the back up against the garage door. I have 3 lines running down underneath the garage door. I know it sounds complicated, it's not. And that, I tie that down so that thing can't flap, but it holds all the water out.
One thing that we have found by inspecting some of the other garages is the fact that the seal are dirty, sometimes the seal are corroded, and they're not level. And people are sitting there having water, even under heavy rain, coming into the garage. 2 options we've seen. One is
Yes.
Garradry, which is a small barrier that's glued down across the width of your driveway that gives you additional dimension in order for your current seal to sit tight. We've installed that at our house because heavy rain was coming in and we were getting in, and that we closed it with that idea. The other way is to use something like a universal seal, where you can go in, remove the existing seal, and they sell these online and provide you the necessary seal with a cushion to seal up that garage door.
I'll just ask this. Who has cleaned the bottom of their garage seal in the last month? Since I told you a month ago.
Excuse
Do
me a second.
yourself a favor.
Jeff, Jen, did you clean our seal on?
Clean the seal on the bottom of your garage door. Get it so it's clean. And like I said, if you do nothing else, take this and run it down that seal and up the side of your garage door, and this will help keep a lot of the water out if you do nothing else. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. if you have a tight seal. If you have a hurricane-proof garage door, go out and press against it. Just push it. Put your foot up and try and pry it open and see if there's any play. If there's no play, that thing will not bend under normal conditions. So you're able to caulk it and it won't bend enough to break the seal. So just check your garage door. There's a lot of homes, though, we found with a garage door from 1973. And the gap is that wide. So check your garage door. Press
One of our
on it.
friends who has a hurricane garage door uses the garage door as his barrier. And what he does is he wedges the garage door wheels with a small wood wedge on each side, just 2 levels up. And with no effort, you can't move that garage door. So one, it seals it from moving if you do use the seal and peel. And secondly, it ensures that you have the seal vertically between that little gasket and the door itself. So it's a simple option. We can't judge whether it's been effective under storms or not, but logically it makes sense to us.
What else you got? Oh, we're going into the fun stuff now.
This is beyond basic.
Beyond basic. This is an inverter. I don't know if a lot of you know what an inverter is. When I lived in Maryland, believe it or not, we lost more power for more weeks out of the last 20 years than anybody has here over the last 25 years. We lost power for 3 weeks, and something like this powered our house. Okay? And when I say powered our house, we lost no freezers, no refrigerators, the TV was on, the fans were on, some of the lights were on. This is a 1,000 watt inverter, and we have a link on the website that shows you how to work this. It hooks to your car battery. It has 2 plugs on it, and you just plug extension cords in, run it into your house. Your car's got to be running, so have a full tank of gas, but it'll run for days.
Outside the
Outside
garage.
your garage. Goes without saying, I hope, but this, if you're in a pinch, something like this will make life a lot easier for you. So this is a 1,000 watt inverter. This is a 2,000 watt inverter, complete with fuses and everything else. The thing I use this for, if I'm in the house and we lose power, I hook this, I have a big battery, weighs 130 pounds. I connect this to the battery, and I can run 2 shop vacs at the same time off this. So if I'm getting water that's coming into my house, I've got 2 shop vacs with no power running where I don't get water in the house. So this is, beyond basic, but we have it. It's there. Hopefully I'm not sitting there yelling at Liza like, there it is over there. Go get it. But this is a very effective. I have used this for 20 years, and I know these things work. It's like a car battery. It's a big car battery. It weighs 130 pounds. I got it on a dolly, and if there's a storm coming, the shop vacs come in the house, the battery comes in the house, and if the power goes out, I just connect it. And we have shop vacs in case my barriers or there's somewhere where it comes in I'm not aware of. Oh, here we go. This is even funner stuff. Ada hit Madeira Beach pretty hard. There were a lot of homes down south of here that flooded from the inside out. I don't know if any of you know the people that, had their houses flood from the inside out. It's not fun. Your house is filled with sewage. A lot of the homes were condemned. They were forced to tear them down. They got their flood money, so you got $240. You tore your house down, you're left with $225. and you had an empty lot. Congratulations. Simple, simple, simple device. This is called a backwater valve. Okay? The way this works, there's a flap on the inside. You see the flap moving. This goes into your sewer line. The sewage comes out, it's fine. If the sewage backs up, it can't go in. It's a very simple device. It's very effective. There's a bunch of plumbers that'll put them in for you. This is mine. I put my own in. It's that stockbroker training I had. By the way, I dug this hole, and my neighbor over there can attest to it. I dug the hole around the sewer line. I stared at it for 2 weeks because this is the nastiest, dirtiest. I did not want to cut that thing. I cut it. I flushed the toilet 5 times. I cut it. Nothing happened. I cut the other side. Nothing happened. There was no smell. There was nothing in it. It was empty. I put the new one on. I was done in 20 minutes. So a lot of people recommend you use a plumber. Most times you should use a plumber. I had an expert plumber that lived beside me, and
Different towns have different.
yeah, check your permit. I don't know what the permits are in Madeira. Most of the plumbers that I've talked to say you don't need a permit. That's from the plumbers. I would verify that. But these things, I take the flap out when I'm here. When there's a storm coming, I put the flap in it. You just untwist the top. It might be on too tight. It is. Untwist the top, lift the flap out. I keep it in the house in a plastic bag. Storm comes, I drop it in, and I'm protected. I don't worry about backwater coming into my house. And I'll tell you what I keep stressing is no stress. You put this in, you're not worried about it. What we used to do, I'd shove towels down the toilet, and then I'd put a sandbag on it. But then you've got sinks, and then you've got showers, and you've got all this other stuff. Bob's sewer line is too deep to do this. So what do you do?
So what we do is we use the plug. We find the right size plug, and that simply goes into the toilet, and you just use a small bicycle pump, and you pump it up, and it expands and fills that. For the shower and tub, I take the grate off, and I use a twist-on plug that you just tighten into the discharge, and that'll seal that. So, and obviously, we only have to worry about the first floor. If we want to concern ourselves with the sink in our kitchen, you could cut off and put an adapter on, and you can seal that drain going up into the sewer.
The flap comes out.
That's an option.
This is a 3-inch, but the flap just comes out. It sits right down in there, and now you can see it's ready to go. Put the top on it, and you're done. By the way, you put this in. You can leave the flap in if you want to. We have a neighbor down the street. He's had the flap in for about 3 years. It's him, his wife, and 2 12-year-old girls.
13.
13 now. And I said, have you ever had a problem with your backwater valve? He goes, not that I'm aware of. I said, if you had a problem, you'd know it real quick. So these things are very effective. There's Bob's toilet.
Hey! Yeah, but very easy to do, very easy to pump up.
I think we're...
Questions?
You can, Richie, what you can do on the kitchen sink is you can put in one of these, depending on what you've got. What I'm doing on my kitchen sink is I'm putting a ball valve on the line underneath the sink where I can just turn the ball valve, and that way it can't come back up. Okay? These are things, by the way, these things that we're talking about now are very These things are very specific. They're over the top, but I mean, this is a neighbor of ours who put put 2 sump pumps in his bottom level. He dug the pit. He put these sump pumps in, so if his barriers fail or if it comes over the top, there's one down at his lower. You can see the pipe coming up, and it'll eject the water right out the side of the house. If you really want to get over the top like some of the people we know. Okay?
And who do we know?
Yeah, Richard. By the way, one other thing I'm going to comment on, I'll get you in a sec. Where your sewer line comes through the foundation, what we're finding is they just made a big hole so the water can just go right through there. So hydraulic cement, you can hydraulic cement it shut and make it waterproof. It's just one of those things if you want to go above and beyond. Do you want to talk about this stuff real quick?
Sure.
I don't know what else you have in
That's
Beyond
it.
Basic.
That's it.
All right. This stuff, if you have a wooden wall or a cement wall that you want to waterproof, you can use something like this Bear product. We have another product called Semco that works. You spread this, you paint this on, and then you paint over it to match your house, and it'll waterproof your walls. And if you can, go down below where your block or your below grade and seal that. Maybe seal it with Red Guard, which is paintable. Seal it with Red Guard so no water can get through that seam. There's a lot of different things you can do. Use your imagination, and hopefully your house is waterproof, from the next storm.
But you can get 80 to 85% of your protection with the basic items that we talked about. We just wanted to provide you with a list of some of the wild things that you do once you have the others done. Yes, sir.
I have 16 flood vents at grade, which FEMA says I shouldn't block. How do I block them?
How many?
16.
Wow. The openings, okay. These are, he's asking about square openings on the newer construction, which there's, what I've told people, and don't tell FEMA,
No,
some of them are recessed. So what you do is you cut a piece of this, put it back in there, and seal and peel on the outside, seal and peel around the outside. Other ones, if they're not recessed back in, you just take this,
cover it.
you cut a piece, and I've told them just tap con it to the wall and seal and peel around the edge. I mean, it's hard to do, but you can do it. That's, me personally, that's what I would do. One thing I'm going to talk, anybody with a 3-door slider? Those are the worst. I hate those things. They're very difficult to do. So you can do it, it's just difficult to do. Most likely the easiest solution is to call one of these guys and have them put a barrier up for you, but anybody else?
Any other questions?
Way in the back, Liza.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So on the first page, we have the website. We have everything for you. I'm just going to, we're basically done, right?
yep.
I'm just going to close by saying thanks for coming. I hope everybody learned something. You can waterproof your home. I've done it, and I have no technical background in waterproofing anything. So if I can do it, you can do it. And if you need help, there's plenty of people around. Just ask. Ask people. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. Come on up if you want to see the products.